What's up, guys? Just finished up a chest workout here. Gonna run you through. Started off with a hammer press incline. I don't typically start with hammer. I mean, I guess I do sometimes, but I vary it from either dumbbell incline or barbell incline or hammer. I do like the hammer, though, because it gives me a sense of control, and I can really focus on the contraction at the top and also kind of maintain the tension at the bottom. But worked up to 4 plates, few sets, anywhere from 8 to 10. Was pretty slow and controlled, focused on the contraction, everything. In the very last set, did a triple drop set from 4-3 to 2 plates. And then the last part of the drop set, I did a little bit of an isolation movement where you see I turn to my side and I'm pushing, almost like pushing my arm across, actually, and that's actually going to help work the inner chest a little bit more. So
I'm sorry, but why do you do that just on, I know it's just on the last rep, is that just
because it's a difficult position to do with a heavier weight. So at that point, you have a lot of blood in there, you have the connection to lactic acids built up, so it's a little easier to get a connection with that. Because you're in a bit of a compromised position, you know what I mean? So it's awkward. So it's not something that you really do a lot of weight with necessarily, in my opinion. I've done it before, but because you don't have really much support, you kind of push hard with heavier weight and your body kind of moves and you use your shoulders and triceps and whatnot. So I just find it to be more effective doing it at the end of a drop set like that. Second movement. Cable crossovers. I actually always do crossovers second, or I try to anyway. Just the tension is awesome, and I alternate between chest workouts. Sometimes I'll stay, right underneath the bar above me, or I'll take a large step forward. Stepping forward more is gonna target more the outside of the pecs. Staying, closer and even like I was today, is going to force a little bit more of a contraction on the inner pec. So the more your arm goes across, the more it's going to hit the inside of the pec. So that's what I do. I did 3 or 4 sets there. Really focused on the squeeze, control. Last set, I took a little bit of momentum out of the top and I paused. That just forces me to really contract right from the beginning of the range of motion all the way through and contract. So it gets a crazy burn. Obviously, I wanted to jump onto my skin after that last set. So, third movement. What do we do? Third movement. Flat. We did flat dumbbell presses. Normally, what I do actually is I have one of those bands, and I'll put it around my back, and I'll hold them, and I'll maybe go like 65 or 70s. And I'll do a flat and I'll push up, and so obviously the higher you push, the greater the tension, and I really get a good squeeze from that. But today I just did them normal, and I used 90 or 95s, something. I've never been a good flat press or a flat bench guy, never have been. So with these, I'm able to go a little bit lighter, like 90s or 100s, even maybe 110, and just get a real good connection. I know I see a lot of guys doing like 150s and 160s. That's just not me. I can't do it. So I'm better at incline. But yeah, I really felt them a lot, though. I got a great connection, great squeeze. Really focused on getting the blood in there. Next movement, we did incline dumbbell flies. I think that was the last movement that we did, actually. Yeah, last movement we did. And overall, I've had a crazy good pump today, so I didn't really feel the need to go heavy. And same with dumbbell flies anyway. If I go heavy, I feel like I compromise, and I'm using my shoulders a little bit more, and it strains more. So I'll typically stay around like 75 or 80. Today I did like 65, I think. But just enough to where I can control the weight at the bottom and then redirect it up, contracting the muscle the whole time. And I kind of feel like the dumbbell flies are more of a finesse movement. So it's all about maintaining the tension and getting a feel and a contraction at the top. So, yeah.
On the last, you did some different variations on the last. What were those about on the last?
Oh, yeah. I do those a lot, from time, just randomly, just enough. If I hit a failure, or when I hit failure, I'll switch over to a press just to rep them out a few, just to push more blood in there. The last set that I did, it was a fail. It's a little bit of a different movement where I put the dumbbells together. Actually, in that, I really feel that in like my upper and inner chest. Sometimes I'll actually do that as like a working set, but I'll do like 45 or 50s because it's awkward. But basically you go all the way down to the chest and you push up, and I just feel the hell out of it in the inner part of my chest. So yeah, I wasn't able to, my chest was too fatigued to push those up, so I reverted back to just standard, repping out regular presses. But yeah, that's just what I call like an intensifier. Once I get fatigued or to a failure point, I'll try to rep it out maybe in a different form and just force the blood in there as much as I can.
What would you suggest, but if like younger guys starting out stuff or training stuff, if like I know a lot of bodybuilders who have awkward younger guys who have problems with like chest development.
Yeah.
What would be your advice? Like, I mean, obviously you can't not seeing someone not training them to 100%, but like what would be advice to like a younger guy starting out?
I mean, all the years I've been doing this, flat bench, it's real technical. And, like you and I talked about earlier, the alignment of your spine has a lot to do with the positioning of your torso and how you're able to contract. A lot of people don't know that. But the biggest mistake that I see is people have rounded shoulders on a flat bench. That's why you always hear them, tearing pecs, or that's why you hear them hurting their shoulders. Something I always have people do, and it alleviates the shoulder pain almost immediately, is when you lay down, roll your shoulder blades back rather than having a hunch forward. So almost like you're pushing your chest out, and that's going to put the chest, I guess you could say, like at a higher point than the shoulders, if that makes sense. So the shoulders aren't going to be the dominant muscle. But form over everything, guys. I mean, you see a lot of people on TV and, on YouTube and, these different videos and whatnot. And I know, if they're pro or they're big, it doesn't mean that they're doing it right. I mean, these guys have been doing it for a long time. So, you guys starting off, start off light. Don't worry about the weight and, lose your ego. Focus on the technique, focus on the control, because the last thing you want to do is, try to come in acting like Superman and pushing weight that you can't handle, and then, tearing a pec or, hurting yourself where, essentially it's going to take you out for a long period of time. Always train smart. I see that so often, and, it's discouraging. I try to help everybody that I can, but.
You've seen it a few times today.
Yeah, we definitely saw a few instances today while we were training. We should have filmed them. But yeah, so, you guys starting off, do your research, try to educate yourself as much as you can. Don't always go by what other people are doing, even if they're pros and stuff like that. Just because they're pro doesn't mean they know what the hell they're doing. A daily reminder to eat to grow.
Okay, so what we got here, Brandon?
Typically, I have mostly chicken, but I did a lot of cooking yesterday, and I cooked extra chicken, so I already have that cooked. So today, we have the ground bison that we got yesterday, flank steak, and then we have extra lean ground beef. This is like 95.5, kind of like 93 or 97.3-ish. I question it. So that's what we're going to cook today, just my red meat a little bit. I do red meat, and now I'm doing it like 3 times a day. I know it's kind of a little bit more than probably what I should, but I find that I respond a lot better to red meat than I do chicken. So it keeps me a lot fuller, and I notice my strength is a little bit higher and I have better energy. So that's what we do. And we grill all the time.
You griller?
I do. I'm a griller.
Okay.
When we were having 3 and 4 feet of snow here, I pulled the grill up to the back door. Grilling like a boss.
I was gonna say it was negative 45 in Michigan. I don't know what it was here sometimes.
It was it was close to negative 50, and I said, whatever, I'm grilling. I don't care.
Do you just like the taste better, bud? Or
I do. I like the taste. It's just easier too. I mean, I can cook more at one time. Obviously it's just one large grill, so it makes it much easier. And I do. I just like the flavor of it. I mean, cooking chicken in a pan or man, it's so chewy and just gross. So I just prefer the grill, especially with like my red meat. You can't beat a steak on the grill.
Yeah.
I look forward to my meals. I get ready to eat them. And pretty much always my go-to seasoning, garlic and black pepper salt. For whatever reason, it just does wonders for like my beef and my steaks and stuff like that. I use it on my chicken too, but I love it. It's my favorite. That's all I use.
It's right by the door. That's awesome.
Rule number 1 for cooking. Always make it easily accessible. normally this thing is like filled up. Got like 8 or 9 chicken breasts here, like the steak here, and then like 4 like beef patties here. So this is actually kind of a men's physique grill, if you will. Edit that out. So funny. Typically with my carbs mainly are white jasmine rice, and sweet potatoes. But again, I cooked a lot of that yesterday, so my sweet potatoes, what I do, and I'll show you, Ken Jackson. See how nice that is? See how well it fits? So I cut them up real thin, and I cover them with cinnamon, a lot of cinnamon. I put them in the oven for about 415 degrees, and I cook them for like an hour and 10 minutes. And I cover them up with the foil, so they actually almost caramelize. So they're super soft. They just taste amazing. But like I said, when I cut them up real thin, it's easier for me to, kind of distribute the weight and everything, and I can fit them in my container. Okay. So it works out well. And the white jasmine rice is, for me, better. Brown rice I get real bloated with. It's, I guess kind of a gluten-like grain, so it just doesn't do well for me. I've always been real bad with it. So white jasmine rice, I just don't get bloated, and I just feel much better with it.
So typically, what would be like on a normal day? But how many meals do you get in, and like what would those meals be then?
First meal, depending on what I train the day before, or depending on the time that I train. Normally, I'll do like a carton of egg whites. I'll do like 2 or 3 whole eggs, so something upward toward like 70 grams of protein. And then I'll do either Ezekiel bread, like 5 pieces for 75 grams of carbs, or I'll do cream of rice, about 70 grams of carbs with that. That's my first meal, and I'll throw in like 10 grams of coconut oil with that. I'll do my like all max supplements too with that, like my VitaStack and my fish oil and my CLA and carnitine. And then like the rest of my meals for the most part are like fairly relevant. Usually 10 grams of or 10 ounces of either like steak or the ground beef or the chicken, and then my sweet potatoes I keep about 10 to 11 ounces, and then with my jasmine rice I do usually like 2 cups of that. So, and I always throw a big handful of spinach in all my meals. I love spinach, so it's that too. I mean, it's just, it goes well with my meals. I mean, it's a great food source, with antioxidants, stuff like that. It's good for detoxing, a lot of vitamins and minerals. But also too, it fits well in the containers. So, the more food you have in there, it's harder to freaking pack it on, and so I'm just efficient with that. But,
and then like when you're prepping for show, you just switch more to fish and stuff like that?
Yeah. This last year I didn't do much fish. The year before I did fish every meal for like 14 weeks.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I felt like I had scales. But this last year I was mostly chicken. I only like 2 or 3 fish meals. But yeah, it's primarily chicken and beef and eggs for my first and last meal.
Okay.
So yeah, it's nothing crazy.